Okay, so this is your lecture covering pages 95 through 98. We're going to be talking about Central Europe. Okay, so what countries actually make up Central Europe? Well, there's actually quite a few. There's France, Andorra, Monaco, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Germany. And when we think about Central Europe and we think about what defines it, we're going to say that Central Europe is defined by a combination of natural landmarks and historic national boundaries that give this region a distinct identity. This area is known for its beautiful scenery. Every country in Central Europe has some portion of the Alps. I don't know if you've seen pictures of the Alps, but they're absolutely gorgeous. And we also have the Pyrenees, which is another beautiful mountain range that are part of the border between France and Spain. Europe's most important inland waterway is the Rhine, and it flows through Switzerland, Germany, and numerous rivers also cut across France. Here's a picture of the Alps, if you're curious what they look like and you haven't seen them before. And I see my picture of the Rhine is not working, but if you're curious about what the Rhine looks like, you can Google it and you can take a look at that beautiful river. Okay, so what's the climate like in Central Europe? Well, they have a marine west coast climate, which means there's regular rainfall and mild temperatures, and they also have the humid continental, and this is in the higher elevations, and this is usually characterized by warm, sunny summers and harsh, snowy winters. Okay, so let's talk about France. France is Europe's third largest country after Russia and Ukraine, and it is surrounded by mostly natural barriers like the English Channel, the Bay of Biscay, the Pyrenees, the Mediterranean Sea, Alps, and Rhine River. The island of Corsica, which is a Mediterranean Sea island, also belongs to France. The prominent features of Mont Blanc the prominent features of France would include Mont Blanc, the peninsula of Brittany, massive central plateau, and four main rivers, the Seine, the Rhone, the Garonne, and the Loire. And my pictures of France are not working either, so if you're curious about France, feel free to look up some pictures there. So what are the people and cultures of France like? Well, when we talk about the culture of France, I think we often think about food. We often think about the fashion is the fashion capital of the world. We might think about perfume coming from there. But the culture of France is very unique. And the people from France are very unique. We have Joan of Arc, John Calvin. Marie Antoinette was actually from Austria, but we associate her with France because she was the Queen of France, the last Queen of France, before the French Revolution. Louis Pasteur, Charles de Gaulle. These are just a few of the notable people. So just looking at the people who call France home, these historical figures, you get the idea that the French are a well-blended mixture of many ethnic backgrounds, and they are. The earliest inhabitants of France were the Gauls, and they were subdued by the Romans, and the Romans introduced Latin language and culture to the region. And so after the fall of the Roman Empire, the area was vulnerable to other invaders, and the Germanic Franks took up the opportunity, and they invaded the area, and it's from the Franks that France actually receives her name. Here are some pictures of a few of the famous people. Here's Marie Antoinette, here's Joan of Arc, and here is John Calvin. Okay, so under the Franks, the French nation emerged and became a mighty nation, even rivaling England. And France and her kings are known for their extravagance. For example, Louis XIV and Louis XV were very extravagant kings. But they were morally weak, and because of that, they helped lead their nation to the French Revolution. So after a brief period as an empire under the tyrant Napoleon Bonaparte, France established a democratic republic, which continues today. They have gone through several constitutions. Here's a picture of Napoleon, one of the most fascinating and compelling dictators in history, particularly because he wouldn't have seen himself as a dictator. He would have seen himself as the rightful ruler of France. And if you ever get the chance, I highly suggest studying more about his life. He's very fascinating. Okay, so the capital of Paris, the capital of France is Paris. And the French love Paris. They pride themselves on the role their city of Paris plays. It's one of the cultural centers of the world. And Paris offers some of the most beautiful sights in Europe, including the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, which is a famous art museum, the Cathedral of Notre Dame, the Palace of Versailles, which I'm sorry that my pictures aren't working today. Just if you get the chance, look up a picture of the Palace of Versailles, the Hall of Mirrors. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so French culture includes the beliefs and traditions of Roman Catholicism. Unfortunately, many French are nominal Catholics. That means that they're Catholics in name only, and they don't really have any deep abiding faith. There are notable Protestant and Jewish minorities in France, and there is definitely a growing number of Muslims in the country. So much so that a lot of parts of France basically almost look like Muslim countries because of how different the culture has become based upon the influx of Muslims coming to France. The official language, of course, is French. So let's talk a little bit more about a few more nations, Andorra and Monaco. So these are two of Europe's smallest nations, and they border southern France. Andorra is a country of only 181 square miles, and it's nestled in the heart of the Pyrenees. And it is under the joint control of France and Spain. Monaco occupies less than 1 square mile of land along France's Mediterranean coast. Both countries reflect the cultural influence of their northern neighbor. So they are a lot associated with France. So France is Western Europe's largest agricultural producer. It produces cereals, root crops, fruits, and it's also one of the world's leading industrial powers. They have a large production of steel and motor vehicles. And as I mentioned earlier, Paris does set the trends in the world of high fashion. And the city is very famous for prestige products, such as designer clothing and perfume, which is like regular clothing and perfume, except it's way more expensive because it came from Paris. Okay, so we're going to be covering a few more countries. We're going to be looking at Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, but I'm not going to be lecturing about them. I found some Edpuzzles. I created some Edpuzzles for you to do. So you're going to watch a video about Switzerland and about Austria and about Germany. And when you are finished with that, you will be done for the day with world geography. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Bye.